My name is Jonathan Carr. I'm currently a senior at the University of North Georgia, and this is my Ardenti story. I first heard of Ardenti Global Service Learning when I got an email from the UNG Film Department. It was from the head of Ardenti, Jennifer Young, who was looking for a couple film students to go along with her organization to Belize to document the work they were doing at the Unity School in Belize City. So I and a fellow student and incredibly talented cinematographer, Danielle Sexton, set out in November of that year with the other service learners for Belize City. I still remember how beautifully blue and gorgeous the water was as we were going over Belize. After landing, we settled down for the night at the Red Hut Inn, which is a beautiful spot just off the coast in Bella Vista, Belize City. Quick shout out to Lewis for his awesome cooking. So having settled in on Saturday, we had Sunday to explore Belize a little bit before the school week formally started. So that day we had our first cultural excursion, a jungle boat tour, and this was really nice to bring some familiarity to where we'd be working. The boat ride took us to the Mayan ruins of Lamani, which was just breathtaking.
So audio's probably gonna be all heavy breathing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show my mom this nice video. It's just gonna be me like,
Beyond just bringing historical relevance to where we were, it was just really awesome. I'd never seen anything like those pyramids. We had some traditional cuisine by the river. It was just an incredible introduction to Belize. The following day, we got to work. I remember this being our first time at the school. We didn't bring any cameras because with the service learners coming into the classroom, we didn't want there to be too many distractions as the kids got used to the new dynamic. And that actually worked out really great for me because I got to spend my whole first day not focusing on filming, just focusing on meeting the kids in my 5th grade class. Mr. Potts was the teacher I got to share the classroom with, who was just awesome. Though I still had a whole week to go in Belize, I'd say that first day in that classroom, that time was just priceless for me. Later the same day was the kickoff of Camp Toucan, run by Ardenti, that centers on literacy and having a healthy environment for these kids to learn. So it's just down the street, kind of at the community center there, close to the Unity School. So Jennifer and I walked the kids down to the camp after school, and the service learners got to work. We really had just an amazing group. I remember we had 4 groups of kids, and that day it was Sierra on arts and crafts, Rhonda on creative snack making, Diana was in the literacy lab, and then I remember Kirsty on PE. With, Jennifer and Brett kind of just running around, rotating wherever they needed to be. Wow, the first day was a little hectic.
this is not arts and crafts!
You could really tell that the kids thrived being in an environment like this that was focused on structure, literacy, and obviously having a little fun. Back at the Unity School, the kids also really seemed to benefit from having a service learner in the classroom. The kids really took to us, and it became pretty apparent to me that Ardenti, having service learners consistently traveling to Belize to help in this community in the school and to run Camp Toucan, had built this kind of level of trust and consistency for the kids that you could tell they got excited when we showed up. They got excited for Camp Toucan each day. You could just really feel the good energy of what Ardenti had going on. Another benefit the service learners provided was extra time for in-need students. A lot of students we had at Camp Toucan were some of the most in-need students, so they got extra time outside of school to catch up with their peers. And then you also had students in most of the classrooms that spoke a number of languages. So you have to think, if you have a classroom divided by these language barriers, a lot of those students are gonna fall behind. And so having students and even some Spanish-speaking students with us was a huge improvement for those children. We actually got to learn a lot regarding Belize City's multicultural nature that week during the school celebration of Garifuna Day. Mr. Potts was nice enough to tell us a little bit about Garifuna Day before we actually got to partake in the celebration.
For the Garifuna culture here, it is the day that they entered Belize. So every 19th of November, they commemorate that. And throughout the schools in the country, that week, they take some time to just display the cultures. And that's what we'll have here at our school on Wednesday.
Oh,
So
that's incredible.
you get to see the different classrooms displaying the different cultures and ethnic groups and beliefs. Some of them will be dressed up in the traditional clothing, and you would see the food and all of that. So that will be on Wednesday. And if I'm not mistaken, there will be a special presentation by the native people of that culture coming to school and doing a presentation. So you can be able to see that and experience it.
The school celebrated the national holiday by having each of the different classrooms represent a different culture of Belize, and so they would have presentations, they would, dress up in each culture, they had foods brought in from each different culture, and all culminated into this big dance at the end, which was just awesome. We even actually got Mr. Potts out there dancing, which was a big win for the kids and I. It was really amazing hearing that perspective from the children, seeing them all share in each other's cultures, and then getting that backstory from these kids that we were coming to know. It was a really wholesome experience, and I hope I get to be there for another Garifuna Day. I was just so happy that I got to be there and film and document that celebration. And I'll say I'm not really one for sticking a camera in kids' faces. I don't like doing that. But these kids loved the camera. Whenever we had time off, when we were taking a break or whatever, I'd let the kids kind of play with the camera. And man, those were some of my favorite shots I got, was just those kids messing around and having a fun time with it.
Alex, do the thing! 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 Hurry, Alex! Hurry, hurry!
One of my other favorite things about my time with Ardenti was how well Jennifer catered to the students that went with her. So as I stated, Danielle and I were both film students that came with this trip. And so Jennifer reached out to a local radio station, TV station, Love FM in Belize, and we got to go out to their local morning show and tour the station. We got to actually be on the show, which was really cool.
Good morning. Thank you.
You're also bright and bushy tail.
It's an act that we're putting on.
Here, there's kind of this hopeful nature to the children that I just think is incredible, and we can document that, and we can go back home and we can show people, these kids that are so grateful for what they have and so resourceful.
That was really an awesome experience, and it was just amazing that Jennifer took that extra step to try to include each major. For the history majors, they had our time at Lamanai and our excursions, learning about the historical backgrounds of Belize. And then for Danielle and I, we got to go to the local radio station and see that side of the industry, which was really, really sweet. Probably one of my favorite additions to the trip was the reflections that we held each night. Jennifer made sure each night that we all got together and we kind of processed each day emotionally together, kind of get out our feelings of the previous day, some of the stuff that may have stuck with us or impacted us. And it was a good way for both us to bond as a group and for us to really kind of process both the impact that the children were having on us as well as the impact we were having on that community. It kind of goes without saying, a lot of the kids that we were working with in this community have societal or even home situations that we as young adults haven't had to deal with. A lot of these kids have been through a lot for their age, and it showed in some of the ways they expressed themselves both at the Unity School and Camp Toucan. And these reflections helped us kind of sit down and understand what the kids were saying creatively with the outlets they were given at Camp Toucan. And I remember one that left an impact on me is we were doing a crafts exercise where we were showing what we were thankful for. And I've done that back in elementary school, and I remember, my mom and my Xbox and my dog, that kind of stuff. And I looked at one of the girls' answers, and I just froze when I read it. It said, something akin to, I'm thankful that both of my parents are still alive. And these are young kids, you know, we're teaching that. That showed to me the level of understanding a lot of these kids have, and maybe some of the hardships they've had to deal with, and just how much Camp Toucan can be an escape for some of these kids, as well as a place of literacy to grow and learn and create opportunity for themselves.
Things that she was thankful for in the crafts room. And she asked me what else, and I looked at what she had, and it said water, food, clothes, God, family, friends, school, and she had one left, and she looked at me and she said, what else? And I really had to sit there and, you know, I wanted to give her an example, and I started thinking of the things that I'm thankful for, and it's like, no, they don't have that. They don't have that. It's like almost like she ran out of things to be thankful for, and that was...
I remember at the end of the week, that Friday, we had our going away ceremony, and the going away ceremony was easily the most emotionally raw I was throughout the entire trip, because we didn't know this was coming, and all the kids lined up for us and came down a line hugging us as we were in their church beside the school, and the kids were telling us how much it meant that we were there, and they were, you know, hugging us and giving us notes. I still have my notes that the kids gave me. This is one of my favorites. Gooby, Mr. Jonathan. You know, they're still learning. But it was just, it's so sweet, and I still look back through these notes, and I mean, just the level of artwork and care that they put into them were really, really something. It showed to me how much the kids really enjoyed not only the service learners being there, but the environment that was created by Ardenti for these kids to thrive and learn literacy skills. So I'll read just a little one. It says, "Dear Jonathan, I hope you enjoyed staying in my class. I hope you have a safe flight back home. Thank you for staying in my class and helping the students that don't understand the work. You made us feel happy when you were here." And if you're ever feeling down, you can just look at these and remember remember how awesome these kids were. I love this little guy.
I draw a butterfly.
Down here, huh?
Oh, yeah? You want some colors?
Oh, wow.
I draw a hopscotch.
Where's that? Show me. Oh.
After saying goodbye at the Unity School, we still had one trick up our sleeve for the Camp Toucan kids, and that was a water day at the end of the week. We had a big water fight, and it was kind of like the service learners versus the kids, but it devolved into just awesome chaos. And I remember that was an awesome send-off to have with the kids. To just have some fun before we took off. So on Saturday, after we'd said our goodbye to the kids, it was our time for our last cultural excursion before we left Belize. And so we went out to Cape Cocker, where we were doing kind of a snorkeling trip, checking out the island, and then swimming with the sharks, which for me, I'm an okay swimmer, but I haven't been the biggest fan of the ocean since I was a kid. But I remember Jennifer saying something like, well, if I come back, so will they.
And that I have come back from every trip, so will they.
So I went, and it was awesome. It was amazing. After having, you know, this week of kind of intense work, intense learning, intense kind of emotional processing, it was a really great way to send off and and leave Belize. Cape Cocker was beautiful. We got to spend a little bit of time on the island eating a local lunch there, which was just excellent, spending a little bit of time with the locals.
If we're making a movie, you can't left me out. You gotta put me.
And then we headed back to the Red Hood Inn, and we had our final reflection. And we kind of we were tired at that point. You know, after a long week, it was kind of hard to imagine going back home. It felt like you emotionally connected so much with this community and with these kids, and it was tough, the idea of leaving, you know. And thankfully, Ardenti goes every year multiple times, and so people have a chance to go back, and these kids know that there's going to be good people coming to help them learn with their literacy and help them express themselves and have a little fun at Camp Toucan. And I left Belize feeling like Ardenti and Jennifer were really growing an environment within this community for those children to thrive, for those children to recognize some of the opportunity around them and to grow. And what was even more impactful was the growth on the side of the service learners, because, you know, and I know it's cliche, but you think you're going there to teach the kids, and then you come back with this just whole new worldview and this whole new respect for what you have. And for me, that's something that I feel has lasted.
Bye, kids!
Since my trip to Belize, I've continued filming for Ardenti as a marketing coordinator on our board of directors. I've gotten to assist in multiple fundraisers.
I have so many alumni here tonight, and that makes my heart happy because it just shows the impact that this program is actually having on the students that are going on these trips.
And help other service learners share their stories, as well as show our donors the impact their generosity makes. My time with Ardenti's not only helped push my professional ambitions, but my personal and emotional growth, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. Ardenti Global Service Learning. Go passionately.